All right. Can I show you something real quick? It is August 1st, and I believe this is the month that we begin taking some things apart. Not because everything is bad, not because we need to reject everything modern, in modern convenience, or throw everything away, devices, or cancel every service, or move into the woods. No, but because too many parts of our lives have been assembled together without ever stopping to ask whether they belong together in the first place. So for me, August is the month of deconstruction. Sit on that. And when I say deconstruction, I am not talking about deconstruction of God. I am not talking about deconstruction of scripture, truth, or the foundation of my faith. Disclaimer. I am talking about deconstructing the systems, dependencies, habits, subscriptions, technologies, and corporate architecture that have constructed or been constructed around our lives. I am talking about taking something apart carefully enough to see what is actually in it, what still serves us, what has been duplicated, what we are paying for but not using, what is collecting information and it does not need to, because a lot of things are. What has taken away our choices and what has quietly become a single point of failure? This is not destruction. This is examination. This is separation. This is stewardship. Okay. Years ago, when I worked in law enforcement, I had a friend who would always order her Mexican food. We all ate that, and she would have it deconstructed. Mm. I had never heard of that before. I was like in my late 20s, early 30s. If she ordered a taco salad, tacos, or something similar, she would not want everything already assembled. She wanted the shell separate. She wanted the meat separate. She wanted the lettuce, cheese, sour cream, salsa, and everything else in separate containers. And they accommodated that. And the reason was simple. She did not want somebody else assembling her food too early and handing her, I would say, a soggy shell. Gross. Nobody wants that. Okay. That's like ordering peach cobbler and ice cream on DoorDash. And they send you the peach cobbler with the scoop of ice cream on top. How you think that's gonna come to you? Do you want that? Sit on that. She wanted to decide when it came together. She wanted to determine how much of each ingredient she used. She wanted custody over the assembly. And once I saw her do it, I started doing it too. Because the ingredients were not the problem. The meal was not the problem. The problem was that everything had been assembled before she was ready and assembled in a way that made the final product less enjoyable. And I think we've all been through that. You eat something somewhere at a restaurant, great. You order it, take it home, or have it delivered, and it's bleh. It don't hit the way it hit at the stove or at the restaurant, right? But if you have the option of assembling it yourself, you can get it as close to sitting down and eating it. Sometimes a thing is not inherently bad. Sometimes it is simply too assembled. And I believe that is what has happened to our lives in 2026. Everything's too assembled. There was a time when we were excited to say, my phone does everything. Okay. It is my phone, my camera, it's my calendar, it's my clock, my map. I could do this and do that. It play music. It's my notebook and journal, my television, my bank. It does banking, my filing cabinet, my health monitor, my boarding pass. All right here. It's my business office. There are people who run their whole business off of a phone. In 2026, if I find out you running your business from one phone, just off of GP and security, it depends on the business. I don't know if I want to do business with you because this is a liability. These things get hacked all the time. They get stolen all the time. And this is your point of entry? Imagine your accountant say, "Don't worry, I run my business from my phone." Imagine imagine people with critical information and doing things, and I just do it from my phone. And in 2026, nah. And I'm in cybersecurity. Nah. Uh-uh. So it's your business office, it's my authenticator, it's my contact book, my entertainment, my emergency connection. And for a while, that sounded like freedom. It sounded like, oh, that's pretty dope. And it was, until it became a liability. Look at how little I have to carry, is what we would say. Look at how efficient this is. Look at all the things this one device can do. But we did not stop to ask what would happen when that one device began requiring everything from us, even a kidney. Because all of those functions now share the same battery, the same operating system, and they're all talking to each other. Your apps, when you click on, because I know y'all ain't clearing them cookies. I know you ain't. I know this because I deal with this with a lot of my clients. You ain't even clearing the cookies. You're not deleting that website you went to by accident. It's still running in the background. I know this is a problem because I deal with this with my father. My father's a boomer. Every time my father comes down from Atlanta, okay, my mother I don't have to be too concerned about. My father is not tech savvy. I always got to get in his phone for something, okay? I'm the executive over their estate, so I'm always in his phone, right? And my father, I say, "Daddy, why I go in and I'm doing this? I'm doing it. Y'all know what that is, right? I'm not scrolling. What I'm doing is I'm Xing out, scrolling, clearing his cache, clearing all the operating systems that are still running in the background that he doesn't realize is talking to other things. It's talking to his bank, it's talking to his email, it's talking to this, it's watching this, it's extrapolating the data. That's why at the bottom of that screen says, you don't mind if we look at your phone, we just want to better serve you, so it's gonna do and the cookies and that do. So I de-Googled. Y'all remember I did a whole talk on this, and I've been teaching this in my ecosystem. I de-Googled myself. I don't have no kind of Google Chrome. I don't have no kind of Google on my phone. YouTube is owned by Google. The parent company is Alphabet. Alphabet owns Google, YouTube, and a couple of other, affiliates. Okay? I understand that. But nah, only one of my phones have Gmail on it. One has Gmail on it. Because some of my business emails are for years under Gmail accounts, and I don't want to get rid of those. But everyone's talking to each other. And in this age of AI, the flex is not running your phone or running your business or running your life from a phone. It's not. Is it convenient? Yeah. Is it a liability? You bet your... Okay. The same internet connection, right? The same applications, the same identification credentials, the same corporate gatekeepers, and many times the same data collection infrastructure. So when that device goes down, you have not merely lost access to your phone, you have lost access to your calendar, directions, money, photographs, records, tickets, passwords, contacts, health information, business, and ability to verify your own identity. We would never advise a business to place every critical operation inside one uncontrolled point of failure. Let me tell you a story real quick. I deal a lot in asset management, asset protection, you know, legacy stuff, right? Now, just as a side piece of CEO Drive Her, right? Because a lot of my people are business owners. And so we've partnered with other people and law groups and all these different things so that we can, like, how do we set up succession plans? How do we do estate plan and all that kind of stuff? And if you went to an attorney, if you went to a law office and you was going to hand over your millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands and your insurance policies and your deeds and titles, and you're saying, hey, I'm going to make you all executor over my estate and to manage it. Well, if you go to a family office and they like, okay, no problem. And you're like, hey, what's your point of how are you managing these things? And they're like, oh, don't worry about it, baby. It's all on here. Don't worry about it. And only I got the code. What? What if something happened to you? What if you go in a coma? What if you die? What if you just choose to steal my stuff and fly off to the Cayman Islands or somewhere else and get a whole new reconstructive surgery and we don't find you and you run off with the bag? You want a place that has checks and balances. You don't want the ultimate one-man band. That's done. Those days are over with, y'all. If you went somewhere, you want to know that there are levels of security in management so that there's not a single point of failure. For a lot of people, this is a single point of failure. It is a major, major single point of failure. Don't let that be you. Have layers. Be deconstructed. You know, it's like an investment. Some people go all in into one project and all that stuff. I like to spread myself out. I like to have diamond hands. I like to have my blue chip tokens, if you will. I like to have a nice little nest batch of eggs. Okay? And I like to diversify where those eggs are parked so that if you lose 25%, cool. You lose 100, that's a bad day. But we have allowed that exact architecture to be built around personal lives, our personal lives. The all-in-one, the all-in-one life was sold to us as convenience. But concentration always introduces risk. Always. This is why I have been looking at PDAs and Palm Pilots. Not because I believe every old device is automatically superior. Not because I am trying to pretend that the year is 1998, but because there is something attractive about a tool that can stand still, a calendar that has primarily a calendar. Wow. You mean it doesn't do this and ring this and ting this? It's just a calendar. It's doing what the calendar needs to do. It's isolated. A clock that tells time without collecting sleep data, my heart rate data, location data, movement data, and sending notifications from 6 applications. A music player that holds music without trying to tell me or sell me more music, recommendations of a podcast, show me notifications, or pull me into social media platform. A GPS that can remain in the car instead of making my telephone responsible for every trip I take. Listen, and I've been researching I was like, I'm going to get me like a new Garmin, right? Mapping devices. Listen, I was a Waze girly, loved using Waze. I took every type of mapping device off my phone. There are some of the highest of levels of intelligence that we drive around with. And whether you know it or not, it's still collecting and pinging where you're going, where you're going to, where you're coming from. You think you're turning off permissions. You ain't. And there was a day, y'all, we did this. Remember, everyone had this in their car. They was using satellites. It didn't tether off to our cell phone. You want to know why? Because we didn't have cell phones. We drove in cars without cell phones. Can you believe it? The irony is we didn't even have I don't think we had cell phones really like that. The razors and stuff didn't kick off until like what? The mid 2000s? I think cell phones became very common around 2010, 2007 maybe. And it definitely didn't have no cameras on them like that. And when we did use a cell phone, when we did get it, we wasn't talking to you unless it was past 7 o'clock, baby, because there wasn't texting and calling wasn't free. You had roaming charges. Remember that, y'all? Remember, you could easily get a $900 cell phone bill, but after 7 or after 9, texting was free, calls were cheaper or were free. So we would call someone and say, hey, we're going to call you at 7:30. Click. That's how that went. Those constraints were actually good. And now we take them for granted. A remarkable tablet, one of my favorite. I have a remarkable too. I call it an X sketch. X, how you say? X etch and sketch. We used to have those when I was kids. When I was a kid, right? The tablet keeps me focused. A focused place to write and organize documents without becoming another portal into every corner of the internet. Okay. Printers that print. Can you believe it? What's this one here? A printer that prints. That's it. Remember, we didn't even have to connect the printer to the Wi-Fi. You could just plug it into the wall and plug it into a modem. And it just printed. Now, I can't wait. I'm going to do a video when I get to smash and bash and beat. I would shoot it, but I'm not going to do that. My HP printer. I got a bunch because I have a printing press here. I have a bunch of HP photo paper I got to use in my business. When I finish that up by the end of this year, because I got tons of it, when I finish that up, HP will never have to worry about me being a customer of theirs ever. I will talk so much crap about them. I hope they get bought out. I hope they go to smithereens. It's one of the most disgusting, horrible businesses ever. I'm glad I have my brother. I'm going to upgrade to another brother and an Epson and maybe another. I'm looking into some others because I need my printers to run my business because I do have a printing press here. A camera that takes photographs. Can you believe it? I have a lot of offline cameras. A telephone that allows me to make a call. That's it. A tool does not have to be unintelligent to be useful. It does not need to anticipate every desire, because that's what these devices do now. It does not need to study me. It does not need to expand continuously. It can perform its appointed function and stand still. And the more I deconstruct my life, the more I realize that static technology can be peaceful technology, not obsolete, not primitive, peaceful. I think we all can use a little bit of that. I have a little robotic floor cleaner. Her name is Susan. I like the little robot. The robot is cool, but it constantly wants to map my house. And we've lived at 3 different places. And Susan, every time I plug in Susan go running her mouth. All right. Susan wants to map my house and connect it. It wants me to connect it to an application, attach it to the Wi-Fi, identify rooms, and give it more information. No, I let that thing wander around like it's lost. It bumps into something, turns around, goes somewhere else while it's sweeping, and eventually it cleans the floor. It cleans all of it greatly. I think probably even better. I keep the function without surrendering the floor plan. I don't have to provide my address. I'm not giving you my address. I don't have to name every room. I'm not doing that. I don't have to connect it to my telephone. You're not getting access to my phone. No. I don't have to grant every available permission merely because the manufacturer included the option. That is deconstruction. The robot does not need to become part of a household intelligence network. It can clean the floor. That's enough. That's it. Don't download the app. Don't put it on your app. And it's getting to the point where they're gonna stop that where you have to. I just seen a video of a guy. He bought a Vizio, not realizing that Walmart has bought out. They did that some time ago. Walmart bought Vizio for you to for you to use the Vizio TV. Guess what? You got to create a Walmart account. There's like an app for it. I was like, that TV would have went right back to Walmart. Here you go. You can have it. The same thing applies to a refrigerator. I don't need a refrigerator studying what I eat. I do not need it reading labels, creating a grocery profile, showing advertisements, or becoming another computer. That requires updates. Internet. You don't pay the internet bill around here. You're not connected. No. And there was a time I was so stupid. I thought, like, oh, this is cool. And then one day it just, being in cybersecurity and a tech girly, after a while, it was like, oh no, we've opened the gates of a couple of things. Look, I need the fridge to keep my food cold, freeze what needs to be frozen, make some ice. Okay, that's honorable work. Do that. Somewhere along the way, manufacturers began treating every appliance as an opportunity to create another data relationship. And consumers began believing that more capabilities automatically meant a better product. But more functions also mean more systems to maintain, more components that can fail, more accounts to create, more updates to install, and more access to surrender to. I experienced this with my continuous glucose monitor. Okay, that's a CGM, and usually put it under here in the little fat recipe pocket of the arm, right? That's the recipe pocket. You know what I'm talking about? That's where all the big girls' recipes be. Okay, if she ain't got this kind of arm, she probably can't cook. No, I'm playing, but all right, all the aunties got that little pocketbook under here. So you put a CGM, all right. And I do a lot of biohacking. Okay, I love it. I'm a health fanatic. All right, so I love doing all kind of different things. Especially after COVID. When I almost died of COVID, I ended up having long COVID, and it's just been a long battle of recovery. And I had got COVID in 2021. Okay, and I'm literally just getting over the hump of some things. Praise God, right? But I'm living, so that's good. And so I was wearing a CGM, all right, because I wanted to see my glucose levels, because I was having some blood sugar issues, right? And I wanted to stay on top of my A1Cs and all that, make sure I wasn't back to being a type 2 diabetic. Okay, I wasn't insulin dependent, but still I was putting on weight and I was sick. It was just a lot going on. So I got me a glucose monitor. They're expensive, by the way. Okay. So the information was valuable. Being able to see what my glucose was doing was very helpful. But I did not like that I had to remain, number one, near my phone. I did not like keeping Bluetooth active on my phone. I did not like that using a device attached to my body also required participation on in a larger digital ecosystem. And I want to be precise here. I am not claiming that my specific data was sold to insurance companies. I am saying that health technology often involves collecting, storing, transmitting, and potentially sharing extremely sensitive information. In fact, the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission, has specific rules and guidance for health applications and connected devices, including devices holding glucose data, and many consumer health applications are not governed by HIPAA in the same way a doctor's office or a hospital would be. That deserves examination. Okay. I'm already allowing a device to interact with my body. Now also I need an account. I need a phone. I need Bluetooth. I need data connection. I need a cloud service, a privacy agreement. At what point I am no longer simply using a measuring tool? At what point am I maintaining an ecosystem? The device was measuring me, but the system was also managing me. And sometimes the information is worth that exchange. It is. Sometimes it is not. The purpose of deconstruction is not to make exchange visible so that you can, it's to make it visible so that you can decide. And I think, I did read the terms in the service of this one, and it said it will use our data, it will use my data as it so pleased. I know this to be factual because I plugged it into my bot when I download the app, and I knew they're selling my data. I knew there's a profile on me. And y'all don't even know that there are back channel credit systems with your name attached to it and your health records. And though some of these things are illegal, a lot of decisions are made off of your health and all this stuff we freely give out. And in good conscience, I just could not continue to use the CGM. It was great. I liked it. I went back to my Keto Mojo. I love my Keto Mojo. You get the GKIs. If some of you are familiar with that, it's a great device. If you're watching your ketones, you're generating ketones, and you monitor your glucose levels heavily, which I do. So sometimes I got callus on this finger right here because I'm always pricking my fingers, testing my blood and my ketones as well as my glucose. And that device, I'm telling you, I couldn't sleep at night. I didn't like that there was something that was deposited in my body because it lives in your skin. It's on my skin. I'm wearing it, and I gotta be so many feet from my phone. There's times I like shutting my phone off. You can't shut your phone off when you wear a CGM. You can't be too far away. I gotta bring it in the bathroom with me. I gotta bring it on a long bike ride, or if I go on a run or whatever. And so I like being disconnected from my phone. I don't want to take it everywhere with me. Okay. Well, guess what? When that was done, and mind you, I don't have data service no more. I don't do a data plan. I got call and text on my phones. So if I'm out, the CGI is not working anymore. It was just too invasive. And I couldn't own my own medical data. And that pissed me off. So I deconstructed. I have also been thinking about my printers. I love printers. I could have a small, well, I pretty much have a small printing press in here and be perfectly happy. But there is a difference between purchasing a printer and entering a continuing service relationship around a printer. Okay. So, for example, HP states that its ink program requires eligible printer to maintain direct internet connection so the service can monitor ink levels and usage and so it can ship cartridges when needed. Some people may enjoy that service. I'm going to tell you, you will end up hating it. You'll end up hating it. I'm on a subscription. I wasn't stupid enough to subscribe to the paper, but I was a dodo bird. And when I did, it happened years ago, y'all. So they offered like, hey, you want to be on the ink subscription? Sure. I did not know what level of a nightmare that would be. I don't like the word hate, and I don't want to even use that word, but if there's a company that is deserving of that word, it is HP. They are disgusting. And it shows how pathetic they are. It shows, listen, as a good business owner, you want to give your people choice. Give them the option. If they want to get their own ink and they want to get it cheaper and they want to don't try to finagle or lock them in. And these companies are so desperate because they lack innovation. They lack any kind of originality. So now the only thing that's left is they got to strong arm you. And HP is one of them. Don't buy a HP. Don't buy an HP. Period. You're going to get tricked. They're going to offer you something. You go, oh, okay. And the next thing you know, you try to use a different paper. You try to use a different ink. It ain't going to let you. I don't want my printer's ability to function to depend on upon maintaining internet connection subscription. I don't want that kind of relationship. I want to buy a capable printer like my brother I have over here. Okay. I want to buy my ink. I want to print my documents. I want the machine to remain useful for as long as I maintain it properly. So when I replace my HP equipment, I am looking for business class printers that give more operational control. Like my brother. Get you a brother. Brother is great. Epson is great. But you need to know this classifications, what it does, right? Because I'm not only I don't want to only evaluate the features anymore. I evaluate the relationship. At this point, you have to, or you're going to be in an abusive relationship possibly. Okay. What does this product require of me? Hold on, y'all. I just forgot about something. Okay, I'm good. All right. What does this product require from me after I purchase it? What does it monitor? You need to check that. What is it reading in the background? What must remain connected? What happens if I cancel? What happens if the company changes its terms? Because if I cancel my subscription with HP, I can't print. I can't print. Listen, I'll say that for another video. Can I still operate the product I paid for? Those are asset management questions. Okay. And that's what we specialize with over here. This is why I went deeply more into this, because I started seeing this while you all was twiddling your thumbs during COVID. This is the nastiness that was going on that they were setting you up for. But as a micro business owner or a person that's just a home manager, a homemaker, those are durable business questions. Those are stewardship questions. And you best know what to ask when you go buying this stuff. We also need to learn how to deconstruct companies. Let's talk about that. Sometimes you see a charming label, a quaint brand story, or packaging design, and let me see. I messed up. Packaging design, right? And I lost my place, y'all, because I try to don't go on too many riffs. But a packaging design to make a product look local. Okay. You have these companies, they come off as local, right? That's basically what I'm saying. Independent or family owned. But when you trace the ownership, you discover that the small looking brand is a component inside a much larger conglomerate. That does not automatically make the product bad, but it changes what you are actually supporting, because you may think you're buying something's cute little local brand or something like that, and you think it's still owner operated. No, it's owned by General Mills. It's owned by Nestle. It's owned by Frito-Lay. Okay. It changes where the money ultimately travels. It's front facing. It changes who controls the ingredients, manufacturing, distribution, policies, and data. Deconstruction says, do not stop at the label. Take the company apart. Who owns it? What other companies do they own? Who acquired whom? Okay. Is there a parent company? Okay. What appears independent but is operationally connected? Because they love to do that. Even Waze, which I loved Waze. Now, I told y'all that earlier. I'm not gonna lie, Waze is excellent. To me, the best direction system. at what it does is great, but it was acquired by Google years ago. That does not mean the application suddenly stops being useful, but it does mean I should understand the larger system surrounding the tool, right? A real-time navigation application cannot function without continuously processing location information. So now I have a decision to make. Is the convenience worth the exchange every time I drive? Do I need real-time navigation for this trip? Could a dedicated GPS unit handle most of my routine travel? Could I print the directions? Could I review the route before I leave, which is something I actually do. I'm proud to say I actually do that, okay? Um, could I reserve Waze for occasions when live traffic information is truly valuable, which I think is okay. Hold on, there's something on my mic. You can put it back on your phone real quick or what have you. Listen, just don't let it live on your device all the time. Deconstruction does not always mean elimination, okay? Sometimes it means limitation. How about that? Okay? I did this with Amazon Prime. Okay, I have a business Amazon Prime account. When I leave Prime, I spend less money. Happens all the time. Okay, I've left them a number of times and I spend way less money. Not only am I no longer paying for collection of benefits I barely use because I wasn't maximizing my account. I was not. But I also stopped behaving as though everything needs to arrive immediately. I can wait. I come from the day where we had CODs and things came to your house 7 to 14 business days, sometimes 21 days. And most of the time, if you spend over a certain amount of money, the shipping is free and it's there pretty quickly. I can wait. And discovering that I can wait has done something for me. It has built patience. It has reduced impulse buying. It has allowed me to consolidate orders. It has reminded me that if something is truly urgent, there is probably a store somewhere in my city that sells it. Speed was not merely a shipping benefit. Speed has begun governing my expectations. And most of the time, that stuff they say they're going to have to you the next day, they don't even come. They say, oh, we got a little backup. Oh, we're running a little late. I started getting too many of them. I'm like, you know what? Well, what's the point? And when I deconstructed the subscription, I discovered that I was not only paying for delivery, I was paying to remain in a state of constant immediacy. And you want to know another thing? I took it off of my phone. I took the Amazon app off of my phone. Now I do have it on. This is my backup. This doesn't even have a phone number attached to it. This is a backup line, like a backup utility phone is what I call it. Okay. This is a utility phone. Okay. It usually stays in my house. I use it to camera. This is one of the best cameras ever. This is one of the best Apple models that they wish they would have never done. Okay, because it's just that good. Okay, it's the Max 13 iPhone Max Pro or whatever 13 that they was buying back for like $2,000. Oh no, I'm keeping this. But I use it as a utility phone, nothing else. Okay. Everything does not need to arrive tomorrow. Every question does not need to be answered in 5 seconds. Every device does not need to remain online. Every purchase does not need to become a membership. Every product does not need to be a platform. Every platform does not need to become an ecosystem. And every ecosystem does not need access to my entire life. It's that simple. In Genesis 1, one of the first things we see God do is divide. And God divided the light from the darkness. He separated the waters. He caused dry land to appear. He established boundaries, functions, times, seasons, and kinds. That meant separation is not always a sign of disorder. Sometimes separation is how order is established. Everything being fixed together is not necessarily unity. Let me pause right there because, a lot of people, like I used to really love, I always live in lofts, right? And so I like open concept, but I'm looking to see, okay, where I'm going to build my farmhouse because I have a farmhouse coming. And so we've been working on designs and all that kind of good stuff. And I love old framed homes. And I love that rooms served as containers and everything. Like at first I wanted a barn dominium, right? I was going to do a barn dominium. And then I was like, I don't want the open concept. I want things with boundaries. I want rooms to have walls again. I don't want everything out in the open. Now you just got a whole bunch of open space. Nothing is dividing anything. And sometimes like open concept is lovely. I have my loft. My office is downstairs. All my living areas upstairs is huge. I have a huge, like 2,200 square foot loft. Okay. It's beautiful. However, for loft living, it's cool. For house living, no. Why? Because you want containers. You want boundaries. And boundaries make other things more manageable and beautiful, right? So I want you to think of it like that. And our God, at least my God, I don't know who you serve, but that's how he established this world with boundaries. The ocean stops where it stops. The mountains stop where they stop. The valleys stop where they stop. The sky stop. The firmament stop where it stops. The ice wall, some of y'all know what I'm talking about, stop where it stops. Sorta. Everything being connected is not necessarily progress. Everything being centralized is not necessarily efficiency. And everything being convenient is not necessarily free. There are things that function better when they have boundaries. There are things that should communicate only when communication is necessary. There are tools that should remain tools. There are companies that should not govern every layer of our existence. And there are parts of our lives that we need to bring back under our own custody, self-custody, self-governance. This is what I teach, okay? So this August, I am not asking you to overhaul your entire life. I am asking you to choose one system that has become too assembled, one system that feels invasive, one system that has too many dependencies, one system that controls more than it needs to control, and take it apart. Maybe it is your phone, maybe it is your calendar, maybe it is your health technology, maybe it is your household appliances. Maybe it is your vehicle. Maybe it is your banking. Maybe it is your business software. Maybe it's your subscriptions. Maybe it is how you store your records. Maybe it is the company from which you purchase most of your necessities. Ask yourself, what functions have been combined? Which ones actually belong together? Which ones need to be separated? What happens if the central device platform or company fails? Can I still function without the internet connection? I think we know the answer to that. Who has custody of my information? What am I paying for but not using? What access did I grant without thinking? And am I using this system or have I slowly begun serving it? Because I believe this is the month to take things apart. Okay? Not recklessly, not fearfully, not because technology is evil, but because convenience assembled our lives for us, and stewardship requires us to determine whether they were assembled correctly. I am not going backward. I am recovering the ability to choose what connects, to choose what remains separate, to choose what receives access, to choose what becomes part of my daily operation, and to choose what no longer belongs in the same container. Because when everything is connected, everything can be, everything can be interrupted together. Everything can fail together. Everything can be monitored together. And everything can be disabled together. So this August, we are not destroying our lives. We are deconstructing what has become too heavy to carry into the next season. We are examining the pieces. We are restoring order. And then under God and wisdom of the Holy Spirit and stewardship, we are deciding how our lives will be assembled again. Now, I want you to, I don't want you to do too much. I know this overhaul can be a bit much. Okay, hold on. But I want to hear from you. Okay. What is one system in your life that you need to take apart? Okay. Just simmer on that. What do you need to deconstruct? Then do it. Make a plan, then do it. Okay. So until next time.